Welcome everyone to speed up your entry to new energy markets. This is the first in a series of webinars that we will be doing throughout the year. It's geared towards new entrants to the European power and gas markets. So whether you're entering from another industry, a newly established energy trading company, or setting up a trading desk, or an existing utility expanding into a neighboring country, this mini-series should speak to you. My name is Mitch Exon. I'm the ETRM Sales Manager at Energy One. My background, I've been in fintech about 20 years, initially focusing on fixed income equity trading systems, and I moved into the energy and commodity space about 8 years ago. I'd like to welcome today our guest speaker, Eszter from Time to Market. Eszter, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mitch, for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar today. My name is Eszter Pontenagel, and I am indeed representing Time to Market today. My background is in over a decade working in the wholesale power and gas industry, primarily focusing on entering new power and gas markets across the world. I have been working at companies such as Neas Energy, Centrica, as we know today, or MFT. Here I've been fulfilling different roles from business development to strategic business development and all areas related to wholesale power and gas markets.
Thank you, Eszter. So just before we dive into today's webinar, which focuses on speeding up your market entry, I just wanted to briefly set the context and the scene, which I've called the perfect storm. In a nutshell, there is a perfect storm of high volatility in energy prices caused by a combination of factors such as intermittent renewables, real-time trading, extreme weather events, geopolitical risk, increased integration between European hubs, and of course the energy transition, all of which is attracting many new entrants to the European power and gas markets. And today, in our first webinar, our partner, Time to Market, will focus on some practical tips on speeding up the market entry for these new entrants. So let me hand the floor over to you, Eszter.
Thank you, Mitch. Much appreciated. Indeed, we can see, as you mentioned, many new market entrants entering the energy industry. We see both small startups and international larger trading houses, investment banks, and all kinds of parties entering this industry. So it's really exciting times that we're living today. If we can start with our presentation. So, but everyone wants, of course, the same thing. They would like to enter the market faster. But who is behind Time to Market? Just to give you a few words about who we are. On the forefront of the company, it is Paul as managing director and myself. And we are together operating a team of experts and focusing on opening wholesale power and gas markets across the globe. We function as an external business development department and really just focus on, supporting companies from all sizes to outsource their market entry and market continuity procedures so they can, enter these markets in an efficient and compliant manner, and of course, as fast as possible. Just to give you a brief introduction about our pillars and Time to Market. So the first and foremost, we focus on power and gas market guidance. Here we, help clients or leads who are in search of finding their game plan before entering the markets, and helping them understanding the mechanism, the regulations, the different, areas related to the wholesale power and gas markets, and then together create a plan where afterwards we move on to the market access side, which is our sort of bread and butter in the sense that we do all the implementation and operational part in this particular area. Lastly, we have the pillar that is called market continuity. Market continuity focuses on the post-market entry procedures, because of course, as you may be aware, entering a market, whether that be power or gas, it does not end simply by having all the accesses and contracts and collaterals in place. There's, of course, a bunch of regulations and legislations that you need to adhere to, and we are there to help our clients to be able to comply on these markets after their entry as well. Just to give you a bit of explanation of the market access, we would define a market access as the procedure to facilitate company setup for trading on a specific markets. And how do we work together with our clients? We look at their background, we look at what they have today set up, what type of clearing setup, what type of bank, all kinds of fundamental setup of the companies where together we can create a scope, and of course looking at their ambitions and plans for the future, we create a scope for entering a specific market or markets. Once we have established the scope, the ambition, we move on to the implementation phase, which I would call it from the license to the becoming active or live on the market. The licensing part particularly could be a whole topic on itself because, of course, a lot of countries require, before becoming active on the market, wholesale power or gas trading license, which can already by itself be quite time-consuming, complex, and cumbersome. A lot of the licensing authorities can be very strict with their regulations, so it's good to be aware of these type of requirements. Once we have obtained the license, we move on to the BRP agreement, so the TSO setup. The TSO setup here, we support our clients with coordinating the BRP agreements, submitting all the collaterals, whether that be cash deposit or bank guarantee. We support, of course, if they don't really have the bank setup, we of course help them with that. But it's very important here to take into consideration, as the host of today is supporting the nomination and scheduling as well, which is very important to take already a decision on at this stage of the market access part. Once we have the BRP, the TSO setup in place, we move on, or simultaneously, of course, start a dialogue with the exchange, membership exchange setup, or if the member or market player is already active on the exchange, then we just add a new product, a new market on their existing membership. If they do not yet have an access to the exchange, of course, we need to go through a quite cumbersome KYC procedure, due diligence, all kinds of documentation, submissions, and communication with the exchange and the team from the exchange. And then once these three main items are set up, we go live on the market, the client can test their environment, and then we basically have gotten the access on the market, and then we can move on to the market continuity part. The market continuity, as mentioned before, focuses on the post-entry requirements for setting post-entry requirements on a specific market. So these can be different types of ad hoc requirements from either a regulator, a TSO, that you may or may not be aware of how to answer, but of course we can help you with that as well. The regulatory reporting here, before it creates any confusion, it is not the remit reporting, it is simply the regulatory reporting part where you as a market player, when you're active on a specific market, need to submit regularly reports to either the regulator or the TSO in some very specific formats, in a specific time of frequency, in order for you to be compliant on the market and not to lose your access on this particular market. This can also be in form of an annual supervision fee or any type of other fees that will determine whether or not you can continue to become or to be active on the market. And lastly, there's also, of course, the user access management, where we help clients to get their traders or members set up as soon as possible. Of course, as you are aware, they can also save some money by having their user access management in place. We can move on to the next slide, please. So today I have chosen 4 areas that can be the biggest and maybe most common avoidable hurdles for setting up a market. One of the areas that I've chosen to talk about today is the settlement banks. As you may know, you have probably been in dialogue with a few of them already, banks are heavily regulated and like to avoid risk. At the same time, of course, they need to make profits as well for having you as a client. I came here with two examples for a case today here. If we look at Scandinavian markets, today we can see we have experience in many different cases that the banks using the church tower regulation as a sort of excuse. They have difficulties onboarding new market players, specifically new market players who are registered or based outside the European Union zone or even the Scandinavian markets. So, of course, there are some situations where there are some exceptions or other type of solutions, but generally it's a very difficult area as of now to enter the Scandinavian markets. Another area of bank challenges is Great Britain and Ireland, for instance, where of course you may be aware that for entering the UK market, you must have a GB IBAN. And then again, not all the banks are keen to support you on opening a GB account for you. Other smaller, let's say modern banks have limited technical means or have a longer onboarding queue. So, whether you're entering these markets, let's say Ireland and UK, it's good to familiarize yourself early in time about these type of requirements and also to start having the conversations with the banks as soon as possible. The second area that I decided to talk about today is the bank guarantees. I'm sure many of you have experienced already that bank guarantees can create quite a long delay when entering a market. Many TSOs are very specific and strict about their wording. And on the other hand, the banks are also very strict in issuing a bank guarantee that is not really to their liking. So there's, of course, a lot of continuous communication back and forth between you, the bank, and the TSO in order for you to set up the bank guarantee in time. So that's also another area where you can either speed up or delay your project when entering a market. When we have these early meetings with potential clients or our current clients as well, we always take the nomination scheduling test discussions as one of the first items. And of course, it's very important for you to take stance on as soon as possible. They often ask the questions, oh, should we do it in-house or should we use a service provider? And for us, the answer is, of course, you should do it by using a service provider. And why is that? Because first of all, these service providers are focusing on that one product and that only to give you the best platform for you to be able to communicate through their platform in the most efficient way with all the TSOs. They have, the best setup for this area. You have to be aware that these nomination and scheduling tests, but not only the test, but maintaining these require a lot of IT resources. And besides that, once you become active on the TSO or a market, these TSOs can often upgrade their systems or switch between the new communication system. So not only you need to keep track of these updates, but you need to make sure that you update the scheduling and messaging setup on a continuous basis. So whether what your plans are to be active on a 24/7 basis, you also have to consider that area as well. For us, really, it's a no-brainer to use the nomination and scheduling test system provider such as Energy One. But of course, David and Mitch can give you a bit more example about this one. Timing and order of the activities are another area that can very much delay or speed up your market entry. That is one of the funny areas that is part of the market access. As you know, time validity of documentation is really important. We see a lot of markets where they say your company excerpt may not be older than 30 days or 3 months old. So you need to be aware where can you save time as much as possible. So if we look at the left side content, here we see that, you must be aware which document or which area takes the longest. So you have to start with that area to obtain it as soon as possible. So here we can see that project is delayed because the document A was not ready when D has already been issued. Of course, you cannot be aware of all the market requirements, but we are. As time to market, we know which one takes the longest. So we always start with document A and then simultaneously do the rest of the setup so we can save as much time as possible. This can be from a month to 3 months, depending on the type of country or project that we're working on. We really focus hardcore on getting these setups as efficient as possible.
We've had a question come in, and if you don't mind me, I guess I need to answer it right now. It was in relation to the, I'm guessing, kind of outsourcing to a service provider, whether you also propose services on remit reporting.
Thank you very much for raising this question. No, so indeed, that was a really good one. The remit reporting we do not touch because, of course, that's very heavy, but that's something that the exchanges take care automatically and you don't need to take. But of course, you may have other inputs, David.
Yes, everyone. No, just to mention that Energy One is our ETRM with DSR. And so we do provide a remit reporting service.
Thanks, Eszter. Thanks, David.
Thank you as well, Nikki. So lastly, best practices and checklists. What to look out for and how to set yourself up for success. So here we have tried to pick up the most important areas that are good to know and be aware of when you're entering a new market. Of course, you have to identify all the relevant counterparties and what their role are. What is a TSO? What does a regulator do? What do they stand for? Who is the supervisory body on a specific market and how stringent are the rules? It's good to reach out to all these counterparties as early as you know which markets you will enter. Ask all the relevant questions, anything that you can come up with that is relevant for your specific setup, for your company and your comfort to be compliant on the market. Then, as I mentioned earlier when I discussed on the bank guarantee side, we often see that the bank guarantee can make or break a project. So you can already begin with the proceedings for obtaining a bank guarantee as soon as possible, as soon as you know that you're going to enter. Let's say the French market is one of the markets where we see that the bank guarantee can very much delay or speed up the process. Identify and onboard nomination service provider. That is key. Energy One can support you in the best possible way to send your nominations and scheduling to the TSO in the most efficient manner. And you don't need to worry about it. It's a plug and play solution. So you're on the safe side. You can focus on what you do best, on trading, on creating your systems, your algorithms, and leave the nomination to who knows best. We have the personal relationship with counterparties. I cannot emphasize how important it is. Of course, in all the industries, but here also in the energy industry, it's very important that you create trust, you are transparent, and you are open to discussions with all the counterparties so they can help you in the best possible way in all kinds of markets. Update counterparties and ask for updates regularly. Be in touch. Just because you are set up on a market, that does not mean that everything runs as smooth as possible. So just make sure that all your compliance is in place, your obligations are fulfilled. And that's also my last point here. Familiarize yourself with the grid code and the BRP obligations. Of course, I understand you may not have time to go through the entire 150 pages of the grid code or the BRP agreement. We also help our clients, of course, with kind of explaining the most important areas where we together discuss areas such as settlement, imbalances, invoicing, timelines, and other areas that are very important for you to know, to be aware of before you become active on a specific market. So we know that your areas of activities are covered and that you are aware of your obligations before you become active on a specific market. With this, I will move on to the Q&A section. If you have any questions, then this is the right moment to ask.
I've got one that you can get started with, guys, which is, do you offer any customs reporting services?
I'm happy to take this one. Hello. So currently we do not offer any customs reporting, but when we set up our clients on the interconnectors for the physical flow between, for example, UK and the mainland, we of course register our clients in such a way that they are able to facilitate their operations, and it be the customs reporting or it be the CBAM, the carbon reporting. So we facilitate it, but we do not do the actual reporting currently.
Great, thank you. We've got another question come in. Do you also provide services for US ISOs?
Yes, so indeed, US, of course, hasn't been mentioned so far, but we have currently many projects running on the US market, and yes, primarily on the power side, but of course we follow our clients, so it's really just a matter of discussing which market is of your interest, and we go there.
What What I can add to this question is that lately we see a lot of interest in especially the virtual trading in the US. So it could be a day add to real time or convergence bidding. And it's quite a hot item lately. So yes, we do these registrations a lot.
Okay, lots of good questions coming in now. Do you offer trading on behalf for different countries? So market access and shipping agents for your clients. Are you one of those?
Regarding the last questions on shipping agent, no, that is not what we do. That is sometimes a confusion when we talk about market access. People might think that we facilitate the actual access via our own BRP agreement or shipper setup, but that's not the case. We really facilitate the registration, and that's the part that we allow you to outsource. So it's the actual registration that we do for you, filling in of all kinds of forms, and you need to sign to get your setup. But it's not that time to market is an actual shipper or BRP.
Thank you. Next question. How do you think the proposed Remit 2 changes will impact purely speculative market participants from accessing the market?
That is a really good question. And to be honest, I think we would need to take this discussion at a later stage because that's quite complex when it comes to Remit and very specific as well.
Great, we'll follow up with that one then. How long does power market entry usually take with you?
So, of course, it depends from market to market because we see that obviously every market has different requirements, procedures as well. We can typically say that from, let's say, the fastest within 2 to, let's say, a market that would be much more complex. Let's say, for instance, Poland, where the licensing procedure is quite extensive. It can go up to 9 or 10 months as well. So these are kind of both the shortest and the longest side that we see today. Just to add to this thought that very much depends whether we need to open a new legal entity as well. We work with all kinds of clients who are based across the world. We have some clients that do not have a European legal entity. We also help indeed to discuss that type of setup as well. So if we need to start with the fundamentals of such kind, where we need to set up a legal entity, it can take longer. Obviously, we need to start with that, afterwards obtain the license and so on. But if this is not the case and you are already sort of have these fundamental setups in place, then and of course the bank setup is also in place. In a dream scenario, it can take from 2 to 11 months, but it can be longer depending on your fundamentals.
Thank you. I had a question. You spoke about the invoices. Could Energy One manage such activities for its clients in the Netherlands? So question there for Energy One.
I'll take this. We provide services around out-of-hours operations, around dispatch and trading on behalf of our clients. With regards to sort of managing back office invoicing, I think that's the question. That's something we could potentially looking at, but it's not a service we currently provide at the moment.
Thank you. Do you have an experience with Balkan and Eastern Europe markets? One for time to market, I think there.
Yes, so yes, we do currently a lot, specifically a lot of Eastern European market entries as well here. I think the most active markets would be, just to give an example, would be Poland and Hungary. That has very high interest, of course, among the market players. In the Balkans, we have concluded a few registrations, and but we currently do not see as much interest towards the Balkan areas as we see towards the Central Eastern European markets.
Thank you. Do you offer services about the LNG stakeholders interconnection?
Currently, we do a lot of registration for shippers on the gas, but nothing is specifically tailored towards the LNG setup. So the short answer, no.
Thank you. Do you have experience with other markets such as Asia, Australia, South America? Do the clients there differ from the European?
So we do not have as much registrations towards Australia, South America, or Asia. So we see from our whole client pool that the interest really lies in the European markets and the US markets. That's where the majority of all the work is done. We do see still a lot of entries from outside Europe into the European power markets, but that is mostly the European registration that we do for them.
Okay, great. Do Energy One services and time to market offer services for physical assets?
This sort of segues into a webinar that we'll be doing in the next series, but Energy One provides services around nominations and matching and portfolio balancing and asset scheduling. So So, for example, our teams can manage the sending of your schedules on the reserve market, as well as manage activation orders from TSO. In a nutshell, I'd say we do provide services for physical assets.
I can jump in here for time to market side that the majority of the work that we do is, and the majority of our clients are spec trading houses, and it's very limited to physical assets. But if you want to have a more in-depth conversation about a specific asset in a specific country, you're welcome to reach out.
Thank you. I'm going to ping back to a question that we had earlier about whether Energy One does trading on behalf of clients. David would like to give an update on that question.
Yes, actually, I answered in the chat, but just to mention that so Energy One is not market participant, so we do not hold any position. We cannot provide market access literally. What we do still is that we have a 24/7 operation team that can operate portfolios on behalf of our clients, and we can, in this context, trade on behalf of our customers under their name and for different purposes. This is something we can do.
Thank you. Another question then. Will you share your experience in exceptional cases of EU markets and maybe share your general experience to get into North American markets? What about sustainable market entry, such as GOOS? It seems many big companies are interested in this.
Of course, there's a lot of market entries we do, especially here in Europe. And when you look at exceptional cases, I'm hearing mostly challenging or difficult markets. And I think what we can see is that Poland is very difficult. Obtaining a license in Poland is just an extremely cumbersome, time-consuming process that can take many, many months, many iterations, many updated documents, and even request of very non-standard documents in specific cases. So an exceptional case in that sense would definitely be Poland. When we look at the general experience to get into the North American markets, we believe this is not a challenge, but you need to be aware, of course, about your company setup. We also use our partners in the US to set up your company. This is very important to do it in the right way, especially when you start looking at your financial reporting, your company structure, where are your obligations, etc. Once this is in place, it is only about registration towards the individual ISOs. And of course, they all have their own challenges. But in that sense, it's not as complex as one might think. It's most important that you just have the company set up correctly in place.
And just to add to this thought as well, you earlier had a question about Australia or the Asian markets as well. Basically, the setup is entirely the same. The Asian markets, there's of course a bit more difficult and more, culturally diverse as well. We simply don't do any registrations currently because we are following our clients and their requests and the inquiries, but that's not excluded. So we definitely would like to be active in the future.
Thank you. Do you have experience in the German market, in LNG German terminals?
I can take this. I see an update on the question as well, that the German gas market you are referring to. Yes, we have experience, and we have set many of our clients up in the German gas market as a shipper for the trading there, or the cross-border flows via the GISMA, where, of course, you need to be able to do the TSO communication, where Energy One can facilitate, of course, in getting your setup. And this is also something where we really see the synergy between Time to Market and Energy One, that we really support each other in this market registration process. On our side, not specifically for the LNG terminals.
Thank you. UK market grid hookup times can take many years. What can you do to accelerate this timeline? By how much can you accelerate it?
When we talk about a specific the market grid hookup time in the UK, we do not have the experience yet that we can fasten this one.
Okay. Do your services cover only electricity sales, or does it also include gas sales within the UK and in continental Europe?
Yes, so we focus both on the wholesale power and gas markets indeed.
Thank you. In what ways can you support entry into the renewable energy market in Africa? Which African countries do you cover? Is Nigeria included?
Africa, of course, is an interesting area to look at, but currently we do not support entries simply because we have had no requests, so we have no current activities on the African market.
Thank you. Question for Energy One. What makes Energy One different to your competitors?
I'd say our unique selling point is that we are a one-stop shop. We have best-in-class software and services. So not only do we provide best-in-class software, for example, for algo trading, short-term trading and nominations, or next-generation ETRM, but we also have services around dispatching, trading on behalf of our clients, 24/7 night shift, which is a unique selling point for a software vendor. And we also have risk transfer services where we are able to transfer risk around extreme weather events, for example, through a company called CQ Energy. So in a nutshell, Energy One is a one-stop shop. Not only do we provide software, we also provide services.
Thanks, Mitch. What is Energy One's experience on the Dutch gas market?
Yeah, so now very quickly, in terms of connectivity and relationship with the grid operators, the Dutch market is the market where we have most users. So we have good experience and a good relationship with GTS.
Thank you. There's no more open questions at the moment.
Speaking of the gas market in Netherlands, we see also on the power side as well that is an area where Energy One can very much speed up your market entry when you're looking at the Dutch market, because from market access perspective, it's quite a standard procedure. But the connectivity, MCC hub, and all these types of setups are much faster and speedy with Energy One than if you would do it in-house.
Well, thank you, Eszter, and Time to Market for their time today. Just to give our audience sort of heads up as to what's coming. Again, this was the first in a series of webinars that we'll be doing throughout the year, probably in the next 18 months. The next one is a great segue. There's quite a few questions around this, which will focus on outsourcing market operations. So 24/7 market operations, so dispatch, night shift, trading, out of hours, which is what Energy One can provide. So that'll be our next webinar, probably after eWorld. But in addition to that, we have a whole series of exciting webinars around short-term trading and auction bidding. We'll have some guest speakers around regulatory reporting. We're having great content around battery bid optimization. We'll be talking about the next generation of ETRM, power purchase agreements, and weather derivatives, to name but a few. So this is just a heads up, a taster of webinars that will be forthcoming. A quick plug about Energy One also, what makes us different. So we are a one-stop shop. We provide market comms to TSOs, as well as nomination scheduling software and algo, short-term trading and nomination software. Supporting all of that is our position keeping and risk system, our N-Trader ETRM, as well as our ability to support our clients with remit reporting, remit and EMIR reporting. And finally, but not last, one of our unique selling points as an ETRM provider software is 24/7 market operations. So Energy One not only supports new entrants with software, but we offer outsourced operations for a plethora of European gas and power markets. So we have 3 control rooms based in Paris, Belgium, Australia, with 30+ experienced gas and power operators working 24/7 around the clock. And due to our spread across the globe, we operate using a follow the sun principle, allowing our Australian team, for example, to execute European night shift. And our teams can take a range of tasks on your behalf. So this includes nominations and matching. So our teams can send out nominations on your behalf, monitor acknowledgement and matching, as well as being the first point of contact to fix any mismatch with TSOs and counterparties. We also provide portfolio balancing, so we can take action to close imbalances based on an agreed workflow with our clients. For example, we could trade on the hub or use gas storage or cross-border flows to keep your portfolio balanced across Europe. Asset scheduling, there was a question earlier on about this. So our teams can also manage the sending of your schedules on the reserve market, as well as manage activation orders from TSOs. Auction bidding, we can send linear and block orders on your behalf, as well as monitor auction status over the day. All of this is according to the operational procedure we've agreed upon upfront with our clients. Capacity bookings, our team can also book capacity from Prisma, JAL, and other similar platforms if required. And short-term trading. Our clients, our team can execute trades within day or day ahead on behalf of our clients as per instructions and strategic guidelines. So that's just a taster, a plug for our next webinar. Perhaps there's some questions around this before we wrap up.
We've had another few questions come in. If someone wants to have their UK gas shipping license suspended due to inexperience or unreliable partners, would Energy One or Time to Market be able to support an application to get something like that restored?
When it's about restoring something, it might be challenging. We cannot confirm that we can solve this. We do not know enough details, of course, but you're welcome to reach out if you would like to have a further discussion that we can find out what has exactly happened, who are your partners, and why would you be inexperienced. So you're welcome to reach out to us.
Thank you. What is your experience with getting bank guarantees for EnergyNet while registering as a gas shipper?
Yeah, it's also like standard procedure as any other bank guarantees across the globe. Would you care to be a bit more specific? This is also a topic that we can take later on. You are always welcome to reach out to us after this as well. If you think you have any questions that need a bit more elaboration, or we can have also just a quick Teams meeting to discuss your particular setup or challenges, you're always welcome to reach out, whether on our website or you will find our contact information after this as well.
Thank you. Somebody's asked when the regulatory reporting webinar will be, but we'll develop the program in a bit more detail and send some dates for that. And so it's great that people are interested in what's coming up. And will we be attending eWorld next month?
Yes, Energy One is exhibiting at eWorld, and we have a link at the back of this presentation where you can connect with us at eWorld, book with us. And if you need some tickets also, we can also provide you with some free tickets, day tickets to eWorld. I believe Time to Market are also attending.
Yes, indeed, we are. We still have a few time slots available for Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you'd like to meet us face to face, please follow this link, book a meeting with us, and we hope to meet as many of you as possible.
And lots of people have been asking if we will share a recording of this session and the slides. Yes, absolutely. It will be available on the Energy One website. So look out for that and we'll send some comms out to you afterwards.
From Time to Market side, we would like to say thank you very much for all the participants and the interesting questions. And again, as we mentioned earlier, if you would like to have a specific discussion about your case, challenges, ambitions, or any other thoughts, feel free to reach out to us. You can do that either on our website or here in the email mentioned below. Thank you very much, Mitch, for your support and for allowing us this platform to present ourselves and our services. And we will be in touch with everybody.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Paul, both for your time and Time to Market's time today, excuse the pun. And look forward to speaking with you again face-to-face at eWorld. And thank you for all the attendees today.
There's one last question when the next webinar will be on outsourced services, and that should be somewhere after eWorld.